Hello everybody from Plant Reviews UK, today is the 20th of November. I'm very sorry not to have posted any video in the last couple of weeks, but I was very busy with work. But I'm very pleased today to post this video about one beautiful orchid that flowered for the first time since I have it, and it is Rhyncholaeliocattleya, previously known as Rhyncholaeliocattleya Edisto Newberry, AMAOS. The reason why this orchid is now classified as Rhyncholaeliocattleya and not Rhyncholaeliocattleya anymore is because the ancestors of one of the ancestors of this orchid, Rhyncholaelia digbyana, was previously classified as Brassavola digbyana, but not anymore. So, as far as I could see in the ancestry of the plant, and this is the reason why it's not called anymore Rhyncholaeliocattleya, but only Rhyncholaeliocattleya instead, because it was a Rhyncholaelia, one of the ancestors of this orchid, and not a Brassavola. This hybrid was registered by Carter and Holmes in 1982, so it is a pretty old hybrid, about 40 years basically. And it is a cross. This is a complex hybrid between Cattleya Maria Ozzella, a beautiful Cattleya hybrid with very dark red flowers, and Rhyncholaeliocattleya Oconi, that is very famous for its very fragrant flowers. The ancestor that contributed most to this hybrid is actually Cattleya dowiana, and I think it contributed for almost like the 50% of the genetics of this hybrid. And actually you can see the fact that Cattleya dowiana contributed very much on the veining of the lip. You can see that presents the very intricate veining on the lip, typical of Cattleya dowiana, especially near the column, near the sexual part, actually, where the sexual organs of the flower are. Even if this veining kind of fades away through going through the periphery of the lip. What I really do love in this orchid is indeed the very, very frilly lip, and of course its gorgeous magenta red, intense purple color that you can clearly see here. This orchid, however, doesn't get from dowiana the color. This rich magenta red is typical of many other Cattleya species, and the second actually species that contributed the most to this hybrid is Cattleya labiata. And Cattleya labiata is there is actually the first Cattleya ever classified as a Cattleya. Is indeed present several color forms. However, the very common ones are all this beautiful purple and lavender, and the other species contributed to this to the ancestry of the Rhyncholaeliocattleya Edisto Newberry. And anyway, I will put a link of Blue Nanta orchid roots, because on this website it's very useful. You can find the ancestry of many hybrids, orchid hybrids, and I found it very, very interesting. About the flower is about I would say 12-15 centimeters across. The tepals of this orchid are actually I would say medium broadness, non very broad. Is not an extremely round orchid. However, the petals are quite round, and really the colors of both the 3 tepals and the 2 upper petals, as you can see, again, is this very, very bright magenta red purple. It's difficult to find the color, but it is really, really intense. About the lip, as already said, it's gorgeously frilly. The base of the color base is again purple, becoming like maroon burgundy near the column, and on the 2 sides of the central part of the lip you can see 2 splashes of golden yellow. Actually, is a very rich yellow, almost orange, I would say. The color is absolutely stunning. About the fragrance, I would have expected from a flower having such a Dowiana strong influence, and being one of the parents of this orchid, the Rhyncholaeliocattleya Rlc, that is very, very famous for the fragrance. I would have expected this orchid to have a very strong fragrance, but actually it doesn't. It is a very mild fragrance, very pleasant. It is a citrus-like, but really I have to be very close to the orchid in order to detect it. So this is actually an orchid that at the moment I would not recommend for fragrance. It is true that this is the first time this orchid blooms for me, so sometimes when the orchid flowers the first time is not at the best performance, so it might be then in the next bloomings the orchid will actually show a much stronger fragrance. However, for what I can tell you now, it is not really strong. The plant itself is quite a medium Cattleya. It's not really huge, like for example can be Rhyncholaeliocattleya, but it's not small either, so you need to have a little bit of space on a windowsill or at home or to keep this orchid. About the cultivation condition, I have this orchid on a southern facing windowsill, so this windowsill get full sun, and even in summer I leave it on this windowsill. So this plant is a plant that really thrives in very high exposure, very high sun exposure. It doesn't burn, but please remember anyway that I live in the United Kingdom, so if you live in areas closer to the equator, so at lower latitudes, like for example even southern Europe or southern Asia, of course, or the southern part of the Northern America, and conversely areas that are still temperate but with a Mediterranean climate in the southern hemisphere, you might want to keep this orchid rather than a southern facing windowsill on an eastern facing or a western facing windowsill if you are in the southern hemisphere. So a windowsill that receives bright light but indirect light. But in the United Kingdom, I have to say that this plant really thrives in a windowsill in full sun. So again, obviously, please bear in mind to adapt the cultivation condition of the orchid to your climate and your conditions anyway. About the medium and growing this orchid, I have it as most of my orchid in semi-hydro, especially adult Cattleyas love semi-hydro in my experience. They really do well, but you of course have to be very careful when you adapt the orchid to semi-hydro. This orchid in particular was in bark compost, well, not really compost, it was in bark when I bought it, and bark works extremely well for Cattleyas, they really love it. But I found semi-hydro for me works better, because when I need to go on holidays, usually I go even for 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a half, so with semi-hydro I can just leave a little bit of water on the bottom. As you can see, usually I would say 1/4 of the pot, and I top it up when the water level becomes very low. So in this way the roots are kept moist all the time, and I found that this is a really good way to cultivate many Cattleyas. About this orchid, I have to say about the availability of this orchid. I didn't find this orchid to be very available. I think on internet I found only one seller of this orchid, and this was in the USA. I got this orchid from Lawrence Hobbs Orchids. That is a great orchid specialist in the United Kingdom, and has an incredible variety of orchids, and especially Cattleyas. And I was actually very lucky because I bought this orchid about 3 or 4 years ago, and he got on that occasion he got a very broad range of Cattleyas from a private who had to basically give away some of his plants. I think I'm not sure. I think he had a greenhouse actually, but he had to. I'm not sure he had to renew it, or he had to relocate somewhere else. Anyway, he gave away many Cattleyas to Lawrence Hobbs Orchids, and he knows I love Cattleyas, and obviously when I was there to have a look at his nursery, I said, Francesco, you're very lucky because you got today you will find a really broad range of quite rare Cattleyas. So I get some information about this Edisto Newberry. I love red Cattleyas. Well, this is more like a purplish red, not really a red, but a magenta red purple, as I said, but it's still absolutely stunning, as you can see. I just maybe I should move it somewhere to let you have another look to the orchid. Yeah, you can see here how stunning the color of this hybrid is, and well, in full sun I have to say that is also shiny, is almost glittery. The appearance of this flower is really absolutely gorgeous. Definitely a Cattleya that I can recommend if you like big flowers and Cattleyas with a very intense color. Definitely. About the fragrance, again, fragrance is very pleasant, but it's very mild, it's not strong. So actually, if you don't really are a fan of scents that are too intense, this actually might be the Cattleya for you, really. The Rhyncholaeliocattleya, actually. As usual, I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you like this video, it would be great if you can please give it a thumbs up, and if you like this video and the other videos on my channel, of course, it would be great if you can please subscribe to my channel. And as usual, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.